It's the story of complete chaos, out of which, I swear to you, rose the phoenix of this great masterpiece.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the classic movies that saw fights, struggles, and disasters that rivaled anything on the screen. We're considering anything made before 1980 to be classic.
I felt just something warmth on my face, and then there were some droppings, things burning, and I thought, what in the world is that?
Number 10, The African Queen. Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart co-starred in this adventure film about a mismatched pair sailing up a river in Africa.
All this foolish talk about the Louisa going down the river.
What do you mean?
I mean, we ain't gonna do nothing of the sort.
Of course we are. What an absurd idea.
What an absurd idea. What an absurd idea. Lady, you got 10 absurd ideas for my one.
Back in the old days, if a movie was set in the wilderness, it was usually shot on a set dressed up to look like the wilderness. The African Queen was a novel production. They shot on location in Uganda and what is now known as the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This proved to be problematic for a lot of reasons.
Bogey always said that if there's an impossible location, Houston will find it. And he did.
Many members of the production got sick with malaria. During one scene, Hepburn had to keep a bucket off screen in case she got sick mid-take. Meanwhile, native insects wreaked havoc, and the title ship even capsized in the mud.
What I said about having to get out and carry this old boat was meant to be a joke. It don't look like a joke now.
Number 9, Cleopatra. Few movies ever had as big a budget and as many problems as this Elizabeth Taylor vehicle. It took over 2 years to film Cleopatra. In that time, the script was constantly rewritten. The first director, Ruben Mamoulian, left the project after going way over budget, and Taylor's illnesses held up production in Rome.
Faced with a long recovery, Taylor returned to the United States. It was the kind of news that made headlines, even though Fox executives could only see more red ink.
Her on-set affair with co-star Richard Burton brought even more press attention to the troubled production. Even after it was shot, the movie went through so many edits and was so long that 20th Century Fox stepped in.
He considered it his duty to rescue Cleopatra. Mankiewicz believed, what needs rescuing?
Darryl F. Zanuck believed that movies were moving pictures. They were supposed to move, so he hated length. And he cut the film, and he brought it into some usable length.
The studio tried to have director Joseph L. Mankiewicz removed from the project too. Cleopatra became the highest-grossing film of 1963 and still almost bankrupted the studio.
An exalted rank, attained not without certain, shall we say, sacrifice.
Number 8, Jaws. Steven Spielberg's creature feature was the first Hollywood movie shot on the ocean. Maybe there was a reason. The first problem was the shark animatronic, nicknamed Bruce, kept breaking down.
In the very first scene with the girl being pulled back and forth, this shark was supposed to be there in the picture at that time. We only showed it later because we didn't have it earlier.
This ended up being a happy accident. Spielberg couldn't use many shots of the shark because of these issues, so the horror of the creature is only caught in tantalizing glimpses that make the movie even scarier.
If Jaws never existed, except in the year 2005, I would have had the digital tools to have much more of the shark in the movie. Therefore, I would have ruined much more of the movie.
Tension between the actors and the crew heightened the sense of claustrophobia. Spielberg actually left the set while the last shot was captured, as he was afraid the crew would throw him in the water in revenge for such a rough shoot.
Which became, by the way, a tradition of Stevens. He never would do the last shot of his movies because he thought the crew was always going to do something. And he probably was right.
Number 7, The Exorcist. Some of the events that occurred while shooting this groundbreaking horror blockbuster have led many to believe it was haunted. For example, several deaths happened while the film was being shot.
There were 9 deaths, which is an enormous amount of deaths. connected with the film, some very directly.
The entire set burned down one night, with only the pivotal bedroom set left standing. Other crazy happenings had more earthbound explanations. The bedroom set was refrigerated to get the effect of the actors' visible breaths, making the shoot uncomfortable. Director William Friedkin was a renegade.
Billy can be totally irascible. Billy has reduced me to tears on more than one occasion.
But he also liked to stimulate the actors.
He was known to shoot guns or even hit actors to get what he felt were the proper reactions out of them. One scene saw him directing a stunt coordinator to yank actress Ellen Burstyn off her feet, severely injuring her back.
Billy motioned to Owen to tilt the camera down on me. And I saw it, and I was so furious and said, "Turn the effing camera off," because I couldn't stand that he was willing to just get a quick shot of it before they called the ambulance, you know.
Number 6, Apocalypse Now. From animal cruelty violations to heart attacks, the filming of Francis Ford Coppola's masterpiece has gone down in history as an all-time chaotic set. The director's approach to making the movie can only be described as zealous.
Dealing with all the unfriendly elements that we were dealing with was part of what the movie was about. That was like the first directorial decision to put us all in a circumstance that reflected what the movie was about.
Every time a setback would occur, he simply pushed through, expecting his cast and crew to push through as well. As a result, the shoot was notorious for going over time and budget.
Must have been a couple of $1 million of Francis's money was in it. But that was Francis's style. His philosophy was always, I think remains to this date, is I'm going to go and make the movie. And if everybody knows I'm going to make it, it will fall into place.
Actor Martin Sheen replaced Harvey Keitel after a few days of shooting in the Philippines. Sheen later had a heart attack after filming his character's demanding breakdown scene.
Do you know that it's going to be all over Hollywood in a half an hour? If Marty is so seriously stricken, then that he must go back, of course he will go back and we'll eat it. Right. But when I talked to the doctor, they didn't know Marty's a young man. He probably would be able to be up and about in 3 weeks.
Number 5, Gone with the Wind.
Has the war started?
MGM poured nearly $4 million into bringing Margaret Mitchell's Civil War epic to the screen. At least 3 directors worked on the movie. After disagreements with producer David O. Selznick and star Clark Gable, director George Cukor was replaced by Victor Fleming. Meanwhile, cinematographer Lee Garms was replaced by Ernest Haller.
The hours were intolerable. We changed cameramen, we changed directors, we changed casting in midstream. We did all of the worst things that can happen to a picture.
The scene where Atlanta is set on fire required precise stunt work and a few chances to get it right, as once the set was burned, it couldn't very well be rebuilt for another take. It was a grueling shoot, and many of the actors didn't want to be in it. Despite its success, there were times when Gone with the Wind seemed like Hollywood's biggest white whale.
As God is my witness, they're not going to lick me. I'm going to live through this, and when it's all over, I'll never be hungry again.
Number 4, Noah's Ark.
It was brutal. I called it mud, blood, and flood. It was much blood.
Before stronger regulations on movie stunts, movie sets sometimes looked like a free-for-all. Over a decade before he directed the classic Hollywood masterpiece Casablanca, Michael Curtiz was the demanding and negligent director of this late, partially silent epic.
And they let go with about 50 dump tanks and a big reservoir with extras in the path of this flood.
Instead of hiring stunt people, Curtiz cast thousands of regular actors and even some animals in the Great Flood scene, which sees thousands of gallons of water unleashed on them. The chaos you see on screen is very real. Though it's said that some of the actors actually died, the confirmed facts are that dozens of ambulances had to be called to the scene to care for the wounded.
I found a man leaning against my dressing room door, which was really an office. And he was heavily bandaged. And I said, "What's wrong?" He said, 38 ambulances have left. I'm in better condition than most of them, and they're coming back for me.
Number 3. Hell's Angels. Howard Hughes is remembered most for his wealth, eccentricity, and fondness for outrageous stunts. His directorial debut was well regarded, but its innovative sequences came at a great cost. With the early sound film, Hell's Angels, he sought to recreate the violence and mayhem of a real dogfight. The only way to do that was through actual violence and mayhem.
Ah, you are surprised. We know all about it, so you need not be afraid to talk.
Full of dangerous aerial stunts, there were several crashes during the production. In fact, multiple people died while making it. But Hughes wasn't just calling the shots from the ground. He was one of the pilots and ended up in a near-fatal accident of his own.
What the hell with your heroic stuff? I want to live. I'm not going to be shot down like that. I'm going to tell.
Number 2. Ben-Hur. This mid-century epic didn't just inherit the same story as the 1925 silent film, it also inherited its problems.
You seem to be now the very thing you set out to destroy, giving evil for evil.
The original Ben-Hur saw the deaths of several horses during its climactic chariot race. The 1959 remake was a troubled production from the start. It was extensively rewritten as the shoot began. The chariot race action sequence took a year to plan and execute.
There is no law in the arena. Many are killed. I hope to see you again.
Urban legends still exist that a man died during the scene. What we do know is that the race was incredibly dangerous despite all the planning. At the end of it all, there was over 1 million feet of film and a legendary behind-the-scenes story to show for it.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. The Wizard of Oz. Where do we even start with this one?
It's always best to start at the beginning, and all you do is follow the yellow brick road.
The days on The Wizard of Oz were grueling, with an overheated and exhausted cast and crew working 16-hour days to make movie magic. At least 2 actors suffered debilitating, near-fatal injuries. Buddy Ebsen, the original actor who played the Tin Man, had to quit the film after a toxic reaction to the makeup for his character. A fire stunt gone wrong almost melted Wicked Witch actress Margaret Hamilton's face.
We didn't know this until really the next day, but I had a 2nd degree on my face and 3rd on my hand. After he got the makeup off, which was very traumatic for me because it was just hurt so much. I was just, you sort of tremble. You just can't help it. I was just shaking with it.
Judy Garland's time was not much better. If she wasn't being plied with pills by the studio, the director, Victor Fleming, was abusive between takes. He even slapped the star at one point.
Ouch!
What do you think you're doing?
We've been walking a long ways and I was hungry and... Did you say something?
She was hungry.
She was hungry!
Did these chaotic backstories shock you? Let us know in the comments.
It was way beyond what anyone needs to do to make a movie.